plan is that we start first just by reflecting on what this day means to you a bit, what you'd like to put behind you in the past and let go of, and anything you want to put some extra effort into, some energy into, or see coming together for you in the future in your practice. And then our plan is that we'll file out outside and we'll chant Itipiso. I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't know it. We've got chanting books.
Yeah, maybe we grab a stack and leave it on the table as we go out.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
and if you
can pick one up.
And I just pulled up the page. It's very short. Let me show you what it is. Those of you who are, so it's on, in the chanting book, it's on page 14, and it's the recollection of the Buddha, but it starts right here with Itipiso Bhagawa. This is the line, these are the lines we'll be chanting. The whole time, over and over again.
That's the beginning of the morning chant, right?
Yeah, this is, I'm pulling out of the evening chant, but it's also in the morning chant.
Okay.
Yeah, so many of you will find it familiar, and if you don't, that's fine. Just, you could either just kind of pick it up as you go, or take a chanting book with you. And for those of you online,
So good.
I'll just show you what it is, and you probably know already, but it's right there. Itipiso Bhagava Araham Sama Sambuddho. And if we look at what that means in English, that is also in that same area on the opposite page. He is the Blessed One, the Pure One, the perfectly enlightened One. He's impeccable in conduct and understanding, the accomplished One, the knower of the worlds. He trains perfectly those who wish to be trained. He is teacher of devas and humans. He is awake and holy. And this, along with recollection of the Dhamma and recollection of the Sangha, is a very, very, very commonly chanted centering and praise kind of chant. So then we're going to go outside, and the two of us will light the candles on the little shrine. And you can just stand and then start to walk up, single file up to the Buddha, and I think we'll do it to show them out,
Yeah, sure.
and you'll see what we mean. Just take the ladle and pour the water over the shoulders of the Buddha. And as you do so, that purification of mind, letting go of whatever that is that you want to let go of, and then making that affirmation to bring the new into your life. Anything else?
I don't know. I kind of like thinking about like the first pour is like you're washing off all the bad stuff. I'm gonna drop all the bad stuff. Second little pour is like bathing in the goodness. The third little pour is like purification.
I like that.
It's what's in my head.
You can take your time.
Do what you want with it. You know,
When you
make
come
it
up to
meaningful
it,
for yourself.
And then just continue and circumambulate, keeping the Buddha on your right side, around like that, and come back, and we'll just keep going in line. Yeah. Okay, everybody, I'm gonna stop sharing because then you'll be able to see the screen outside as well. Okay, and then we'll come back here after all of this. And we do some more chanting. Oh, do you want to start? We should start with calling the devas.
Okay.
When we get out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Just follow along. We might ad lib.
Oh, maybe Juan can grab them, or maybe Lynn, could you grab a stack of books and leave them out? Thanks.
Hand them to us.
That too, if you want to.
Just leave them over here. We keep on and out.
Is there enough there?
Should we go? That's the idea, right?
She called us.
Are you going?
Huh? Someone.
Can take shoes off.
So all of you.
Yeah, well, let this person know what's going on a little bit first and then we'll go. Hi. Hello. We're about to go to the back and do a little ceremony. You can just follow and you'll be fine. What's your name?
Cole.
Cole?
Yeah.
Is this your first time here?
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
You go now?
Yeah, let's go.
Come on out, everybody. Start with calling the baby. Can you all hear us reasonably well? So. You took the job right now. Don't know
I
much.
used speaking a little soft.
I'm gonna get my shoes first.
This part. Feel free to spread out and sway to you if you want. Yes. I don't think everybody's here yet, right? Almost.
Can you open your shoes?
Oh, yeah. Take them off. Put them on. Take Right. Okay, just kind of compose your mind. Paritavana metang sametang vadanta. Avihita chitta paritam vanantu. Samanta chakavalisu atragachantu devata. Sadhamma munirajasa sunantu sagamokadam. Sage kame charupe irisikaratate chankalite limane dipe rate chakame charuana gahane yehawatum ikete umma jayantu deva charatavaru same yakagandana naga Tikanta Santikeyam Munivara Vachanam Sadhavame Sunantu Buddha Dasana Kala Ayam Vedanta Dhamma Sawana Kala Ayam Vedanta Sangha Vairupasa Kala Ayam Vedanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itipiso bhagava araham samma sambuddho vijacharana sampada sugato kavidu anuttaro visadantasa pratisanta deva manusana buddho bhagavati Itipiso bhagava araham samma sambuddha vijayasharana sampadam sugato vidu anuttaram purisadam samrati svatam deva manusana Bhagavato Bhagavata Dhamma Sandhito Atariko Eviparasiko Omanayiko Tanveditambo Vindhiti Sukati Paramo Brahmajo Saho Uchipati Parano Bhagavato Savakasangam Nyaya Pati Parano Bhagavato Savakasangam Sami Chipati Parano Bhagavato Savakasangam Yamidam Chalatvari Purisa Yukasika Tapuris Usama Yes Bhagavato Samavasando Arvinario Bhavavunario Bhavavunario Varshavi Anyatanam Punya Utipiso Pradhanam Haram Samana Samandana Vija Sharana Samdana Sikajana Kavidu Adu Sarva Purisadana Sarati Sata Devam Sapanam Jujau Bhagavati Iti so bhagavatam sarvam Vijaya Sharada Santadam Siddhartha Sarvam Buddhist So Bhagava Araham Samma Vijaya Sharada Santadam Siddhartha So Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddham Itipiso bhagava araham sammasambuddham vichāra Itipiso bhagava araham Anucharam Purisa Dhamma Sarasya So Bhagava Raham Samma Sambuddham Agapato commodity sunagatam sumangalam supapatam sulitam sukano sumagunto chasulitam brahmachari supadagina kaya kama vacha kama padagina Padagina Manokama Anidite Padagina Nika Vanavakantate Padagine Yachi Savanandavam Nakanti Savadevata Savabhuta Nubhavena Sajaso Jivavanti Te Bhavatu Sabbamangalam Rakantu Sabbadevata Sabba Dhamma Nibhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabbamangalam Rakantu Sabbadevata Sabba Sankara Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. That was beautiful. So we put that was
Just looking for can see her. Sorry if you want. We can get some cushions.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you.
I think Asher's taking the role of the baby Buddha lookalike.
He just winked at me.
He's got a smile too.
He kind of winked and smiled. It's kind of cute. Oh,
He's that smile.
yeah. What is it, Asher? What is it? Yeah. Happy baby.
So, always the devotional part of the practice is really gives us what we give into it, what we put into it. So sometimes it's the thing that really touches the heart, and other times it's not, but just always keep in mind that that's another aspect of the practice that can be helpful. Especially if we're running a little low on inspiration, and or maybe the other way when we're really full of spiritual energy. And speaking of being full of spiritual energy, or maybe more to the point that desire, that yearning to awaken that the Buddha had was strong enough to, first of all, of course, he leaving his home life, family life, that was very comfortable by standards of that day. I don't know how it compares to the standards of today. I think we've all got it probably more comfortable than they had it back then. Just flip a switch, you've got light, and try to dial, you've got heat. And yeah, it's really, but in any case, his commitment, and I sometimes wonder, how did the Buddha have that, confidence that you could wake up, that you could find the end of suffering and solve the problem of death, and it's amazing. And there's a beautiful description of his journey in the Majjhima Nikaya, number 26, the Noble Search. And you find he talks about it differently at different times, with different people. Sometimes he talks puts an emphasis on those years that he practiced those austerities. And in this case, in the Noble Search, he doesn't talk about it at all. He just talks about realizing that he was subject to birth, aging, and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. And that if he seeks out and attaches to other people, things, everything that is also subject to birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, that's not going to be the way out of suffering. It's just going to collect more, attaching to all impermanent things. And so that was what drove him and drove him to keep going, to keep searching. And of course, on the night of his enlightenment, according to the legends, he had very strong sense that he was going to awaken that night. I think it's probably true. He knew he was close to it. But then when he experienced it, reality unfolded in such a complete manner that, of course, he was forever changed, right? You can't go back to not knowing. And what he knew then, the full story, the full picture, I'm sure beyond description, how karma works and how rebirth works, how that happens based on our actions, and just living our life, especially, we're encouraged to stay in the present moment, but we also have to have the wisdom of the big picture, not just what I'm doing right now. That's important. It's important to be present instead of distracted. It's important to have sampajanya, wisdom, also in the present moment. But the Buddha was able to see this vastness of and endlessness of samsara. So there's no discoverable beginning. He went way back, eons worth of past lives, still no discoverable beginning, but then seeing what exactly brought him to the place where he was. And then, of course, seeing how that worked for other living beings too. So, he had the understanding of karma, causes and effects, way deeper than I think anyone that came after him, probably. Certainly way different than anybody I know of, way more. And yet we can get enough of it, enough of a picture to have the real understanding that this is how it works. And that's one of, many of you have heard me say this before, but that's one of the astounding things about the Buddha and his teachings is he didn't, develop a philosophy. He's just reporting on his experience, what he actually saw. And when you see things in meditation in deep states, it's so profound, even if you can't really, go back to normal consciousness and maybe it doesn't make any sense. I don't think that happened to the Buddha. You can't really explain how it is this way, but the Buddha could. That's one of the amazing things about him, what an excellent teacher he was. How amazing his ability was to communicate reality as he experienced it. And that kind of unfolding of reality, even we might think much more minor insights or realizations that we might have, it's still more like looking at an amazingly vivid image instead of just having a worded description. If that makes any sense. And of course, you probably all know that at first the Buddha thought, it took so much effort. It was so hard for me to discover this, to get to this point. I don't know if anybody else is going to understand it. You could really appreciate how that could be, a question. And the fact that he was able to communicate it, even to the very first people he tried it with, the 5 mendicants who had been supporting him during the period of austerities, and that they got it. And in this sutta, I have parts of it here copied out. He says, it occurred to me, this principle I've discovered is deep, hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful, sublime, beyond the scope of logic, subtle, comprehensible to the astute. But people like clinging, they love it and enjoy it. It's hard for them to see this topic. That is specific conditionality. So he's actually points out 2 things that are most difficult for people to understand. First, it's the conditionality, dependent origination. And it's also hard to see nibbana. And he says, this is a beautiful passage, the stilling of all activities, the letting go of all attachments, the ending of craving, fading away, cessation, nibbana. Those are the 2 things that are hard to see. But then, he decides to teach the 5 mendicants. As the group of 5 mendicants were being advised and instructed by me like this, he says, being themselves liable to be reborn, understanding the drawbacks in being liable to be reborn, they sought that which is free of rebirth, the supreme sanctuary from the yoke, nibbana, and they found it. Being themselves liable to grow old, fall sick, die, sorrow, and become corrupted, understanding the drawbacks in these things, they sought that which is free of old age, sickness, death, sorrow, and corruption, the supreme sanctuary from the yoke, nibbana, and they found it. Knowledge and vision arose in them. Our freedom is unshakable. This is our last rebirth. Now there are no more future lives. So that was profound, that he could actually teach it and it could be understood and realized. And that's the legacy we have. We can take these teachings in and practice and realize. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yeah, Dina.
So, and I've been practicing Buddhism a long time, but not this particular version of it. But clearly they're in the first group of people that he was teaching. Some of them chose to take Bodhisattva, right? Because they wanted to try to offer this to other people. Because if they all had attained Nibbana, who would be left to teach? Am I interpreting this correctly, or?
Yeah, that's not the way the early texts present it.
Yeah.
So once someone realizes Nibbana, becomes fully enlightened, they can still teach. They're still living in this world until the body dies. And it's true that they're not going to come back to another life, but they certainly are passing on the teachings and making that available to others, opening the way for others. So the bodhisattva concept, even though bodhisattva is the way that the Buddha is, they call him the bodhisattva before his enlightenment. It's not the same concept as what developed later as the schools started to separate. So the bodhisattva ideal was developed later, and the early texts never suggest that anyone would wait to get enlightened. So that idea of, well, we should wait to get enlightened so that we can help other people to cross over was not present at that time yet. So as the Buddha was teaching people, and he started with the first 5 that he had been staying with, and then according to the Vinaya, there are many stories about other groups that he went to see and how that all unfolded, and more people becoming part of this, and more people waking up. And that idea of, because the power of that, like even when Elizabeth was talking about the gathering that came for Ajahn Sumedho's 90th birthday, and the sort of field of merit. So you can imagine the field of merit that was being developed around the Buddha, with all of these mendicants awakening, and they're practicing, they're teaching. At some point he sends them off in different directions to offer this. So the generosity and love that comes along with awakening, and also preconditions it, is certainly there in the way that people who have developed far along the path make themselves available. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Want to go practice? Want to sit and meditate? Okay, great. However that works for you is fine. You can go outside and do walking meditation, or stay in here, or whatever is comfortable. I know it'll be different for you as we go, and then we'll come back in about an hour and 15 minutes and talk more about the Buddha's passing away.